The WWF, what the world is watching. Turn it on and rip the knob off.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another edition of the Wrestling Memory Grenade. And I'm your host, Ray Russell, here again this week to cover 2 more weeks of July 1988 in the World Wrestling Federation. And as this week marks the first week back to school for all of my kids, it's total chaos in the Ray Russell household. But that's okay. I'm leaving 2024, if only for a couple hours, and heading back to late great 1988, guys. And it all kicks off this week with the July 17th edition of the WWF's Superstars of Wrestling. All right, away we go. July 17th, Superstars, taped back June 21st, Glens Falls, New York. That's Hacksaw country, guys. At the Glens Falls Civic Center, Vince McMahon and Jesse Ventura on commentary. And last we left this duo on last episode of Superstars, Jesse revealed his bald head, perhaps for the very first time in a long time. Vince McMahon making a joke, there's something missing, Jess, referring to Ventura's hair, of course. So this week, Jesse returns wearing a baseball cap, which reads, "It's not a bald spot, it's a solar panel for a sex machine." Ha! And before we get going, I do want to point out by this point, the green screen is now flowing heavily, not just for the wrestling promos, but now also for the intros of Superstars and Wrestling Challenge. So when we see Jesse and Vince or Gorilla and Bobby now, they're not live in the arena anymore, at least not most of the time. Instead, we get the old green screen o' doom of the fans in the background. Technology, pal. As we head off to the ring to witness yet another debut here in the summer of '88, this time it's the Warlord and the Barbarian, the Powers of Pain. What awesome music that really meshed well with the Powers of Pain characters. Very aggressive, in-your-face style WWF music for the time. And this is a very aggressive, in-your-face style of team are the Barbarian and the Warlord as they are set to take on Tony Ulysses and Iron Mike Sharp. And Ulysses, he wants out before the match can even start, but Iron Mike says, no, it's okay, Tony. You go on and get the job done. So Ulysses in first, but it doesn't take long before we begin to see managers showing up ringside here. We see Mr. Fuji in the aisleway, the manager of Tag Team Champion Demolition. Fuji out there snapping pictures as Jesse Ventura says, "Well, that's nothing new. Every Japanese person has a camera hanging off their neck." Eesh, Jess. As we head back to the ring for the action, Ulysses, with no luck, so he tags out to Iron Mike and then eats a big body slam by Barb instead. We also see now Slick scouting the team from the crowd. Is he looking at them as potential opponents for his Bolsheviks or maybe as a possibility of a team that he could manage? I mean, I'd give up the Russians if I could get the Powers of Pain too. If you think about it, over in Crockett, they lost the Powers of Pain, and they're going to end up with a pair of Russians as well. Meanwhile, back to the action here, a hesitant Ulysses tags back into the ring, and hesitant for a good reason, I may add, as he runs straight into a Warlord running power slam and the Barbarian diving headbutt. Going to put Tony away. Match goes 2 minutes and 41 seconds. Impressive quick debut here for the Powers of Pain this week on WWF TV. Talk about bolstering your tag team division in a hurry. The writing is on the wall for teams like the Killer Bees at this point as we move off now to Update. And Lord Alfred Hayes talking all about the Savage attack last week. Andre the Giant and Ted DiBiase attacking the Macho Man.
From the pages of the World Wrestling Federation magazine, here's Update with Lord Alfred Hayes.
Hello everyone, this is Lord Alfred Hayes with Update. Wrestling fans were shocked last week when the undisputed World Wrestling Federation champion Macho Man Randy Savage was brutally attacked from behind by Andre the Giant and Ted DiBiase. This cowardly act was further escalated by Virgil, who held Elizabeth so that she was forced to witness this hour of infamy. Following this treacherous attack, a bruised and battered Randy Savage, shaking with rage and burning for revenge, fired out a challenge to Andre the Giant and the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase to meet him and a partner of his choosing in a head-on tag team match. We now wait to hear who will be Randy's partner should Ted DiBiase and Andre the Giant respond to this challenge. For the World Wrestling Federation, this is Update.
Well, we learned that the Macho Man not going to take this sitting down. He has in fact issued a challenge, a revenge of sorts. Savage calling out the $1 Million Man and Andre to face the Macho Man and a partner of his choosing. But the question is, will the heels accept said challenge? As what do we have here? Perfect timing, it would seem. It's our very first Summer Slam bumper. Summer Slam coming Monday, August the 29th. Summer Slam. Wonder what that is. We go back to the ring for the Canadian strongman Dino Bravo with manager Frenchie Martin. Bravo's opponent this week, Tony Parks. Is Parks going to plant a dropkick on Dino, but runs smack dab into a inverted atomic drop there from the Canadian, followed by a gut-wrench suplex, pile driver, and the side suplex. Just going to give Dino Bravo the win, 2 minutes and 31 seconds. So the action continues on, and you don't want to confuse these two men with Dino Bravo. It's two more fellow French Canadians talking about the fabulous Rougeaus brothers, Jacques and Raymond, taking on Chris Duffy and Scott Colantonio. Is out here this week. The Rougeaus rocking even smaller American flags than usual. Ironically, while many boo, the Rougeaus actually have some fans cheering, which is more than I can say about them before they took on this gimmick. During this matchup, we get an insert promo from the Killer Bees. Remember, they were screwed out of a matchup last week on Superstars against the fabulous Rougeaus, and the Bees say that the next time the two teams meet, the Rougeaus, they're going to break out in a bad case of the hives. I hate when Brian Blair says that. I have to point out, Brian, bees live in a hive. You're referring to an irritation on the skin. Yes, it's the same word, but used completely differently. Anywho, back to the action. Fun double teaming, which may be aggressive, but completely legal, I might add. The Rougeaus even making sure the referee sees all of their tags. Hey, referee, are you watching? You see this? Tag in Jacques and Raymond. As finally, it's Le Bombe des Rougeaus on Colantonio. Going to give the fabulous Rougeaus the win, 3 minutes and 15 seconds. And then post-match, for a little fun, Raymond going to hold Duffy while Jacques comes off the ropes with a missile drop kick. Now, while the Rougeaus were entertaining us in the ring, commentary was more focused on the pending tag team matchup. Randy Savage and a partner of his choosing taking on Andre the Giant and Ted DiBiase. Vince McMahon pondering who the referee would be for such a matchup, as Jesse suggests that Jack Tunney will have to lift Danny Davis's suspension, as no other referee would be able to handle that type of a match. The plot thickens, guys. As we go back to the ring, more action featuring Jake, the Snake Roberts, taking on Bob Emery. As we see the wife of Jake, Cheryl Roberts, sitting ringside, watching her husband. Emery gonna block Jake's sunset flip. Jake Roberts with a sunset flip. Ugh, that was just weird to see, but Emery gonna block it anyway. Punch between the eyes of the Snake Man. but Emery going to miss a drop kick from there. Jake takes back over, short arm clothesline. DDT gets the win, 2 minutes and 57 seconds, and a little post-match fun with Damien the Snake. As the action just keeps rolling here, $1 Million Man, Ted Dibiase, but he's not just accompanied by Virgil, he's also accompanied by Bobby the Brain Heenan, and if that wasn't enough, Andre the Giant, a trifecta on the outside for the $1 Million Man as he takes on poor Larry Stevens here, who has to be looking across the ring a little trepidatious, So Stevens going to spend most of the matchup on the arena floor, DiBiase tossing him outside, working him over out there, until Andre finally tossing Larry back in the ring, where it's the $1 Million Man delivering the power slam, and of course the $1 Million Dream going to get the win, 2 minutes and 37 seconds. Stevens going to eat a $100 bill for his troubles in a pretty basic squash, just to allow the announcers another segment on this show to build up that potential tag team match between the two sides, and Jesse continuing to push that who will be the referee shtick. So keep an eye on that, guys. As we go off now to a special interview up on the platform, Craig DeGeorge standing by with The Rock, Don Muraco.
Rock certainly conspicuous by his absence here. Is superstar Billy Graham.
You just mentioned superstar
of course,
Billy
doctor's
Graham.
orders now have prohibited superstar Billy Graham from accompanying you to ring. You will no longer be allowed ringside due to, of course, the figure 4 put on by Greg the Hammer Valentine and that shin guard of his. And I know it must be a difficult moment for you here.
Quite obvious, due to the absence of the superstar and the WWE and the orthopedic team in survey have researched that the superstar would not be here, because if there was any way, shape, or form, he would crawl on his belly like a reptile to be at my side. Due to Greg Valentine, due to the figure 4, due to that knee pad you throw on your knee, Greg Valentine, the superstar is headed back for surgery, headed back for the hospital, headed back for more pain. But quite obviously, too, Greg Valentine, the dark hand of vengeance will come out of darkness and reach out for you and grab you around the neck and put your lights out, brother.
You know, Rock, superstar Billy Graham may not be with you physically, but anybody who knows you, your relationship, would realize that he is not gone completely.
The superstar travels in my mind with me. The superstar travels on my soul with me. The superstar travels in my heart with me, because he is the superstar. He is the legend. And I have taken upon myself that he will walk again. He will stand tall again. Hand in hand, I will take Billy Graham, and step by step, we will climb the mountain. Step by step, we will reach the top. I plan that step by step with you, we are gonna walk again, and we are gonna walk tall.
Well, there you heard it. Don Muraco talking all about his feud with Greg the Hammer Valentine. Of course, the Hammer putting superstar Graham out as his manager, injuring his leg. Muraco, though, lets us know that while Graham might not be here by his side physically, he's still in the heart and the soul of The Rock. Wow, that's really deep, Don. The Rock promising here that Billy Graham will indeed walk again. And I'm pretty sure he already is. He's already been doing some commentary, but Muraco just a spitting and snotting machine everywhere here this week. Kind of delaying the discussion as well, as a lot of this stuff went down several weeks back at this point, but based on the sweating and salivating of Muraco, I have to wonder what The Rock was hitting before he did this promo, if you know what I mean. Read between the lines, Then it's back to the ring for Bad News Brown, taking on Carmine Serace. Bad News going to attack Serace for a total beatdown, and the Ghetto Blaster, foot on the chest, going to make the cover and score the 1-2-3. Bad News is indeed bad news. Picking up that win in just 1 minute and 10 seconds, as it's time for another Summer Slam vignette. Can't wait to find out what that's all about. Speaking of vignettes, we go back to the prisons, maybe in Cobb County, maybe somewhere else. Not really sure, but it is the Big Boss Man talking about the scum and the lowlifes behind the prison walls. He says he is the only judge and jury, and if need be, he's also the executioner.
All these scum, all these lowlifes were put in jail by judge and jury. But inside these walls, inside of my home. I'm the only judge. I'm the only jury. And if need be, I'm the executioner.
Quick but awesome promos here from the Big Boss Man, these vignettes at the prison. Now, he's already debuted in the ring, but these really add just a little more to the character. As we go back to the ring to close out Superstars tag team action, going to see Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty. The Rockers take on Steve Lombardi and Terry Gibbs. As we get an insert video package of the fans in the crowd talking all about the newcomers, the Rockers. A couple of ladies referred to the duo as Wicked Hot, which confuses one Vince McMahon.
What does that mean, pal?
Anywho, back to the action. The heels going to manage to get in their shots here and there, but they never really managed to take over control. Finish going to see Marty Jannetty shoot Lombardi into the ropes, do a drop down, and as Steve jumps over Marty, he runs right into a Shawn Michaels crossbody off the top rope, timing like no other. The Rockers scoring the win in just 3 minutes and 52 seconds to end this week's episode of Superstars. Very eventful, lots of new faces, another Boss Man vignette. We get to see the Rockers again. Powers of Pain debut. And in the middle, we're selling the big story now. Dibiase and Andre taking on the Macho Man and a mystery partner, should the heels accept. More on that on the following week's TV. But for right now, we move on to the July 17th edition of WWF Wrestling Challenge. Here we go. Challenge for July 17th. Tape back June 22nd, Binghamton, New York, at the Broome County Arena. Gorilla Monsoon, Bobby Heenan on commentary, and Brain turning around, pretending to look at the quote-unquote fans on the green screen behind him. So I wrote in my notes, Bobby Heenan, he already gets it. Meanwhile, we head off to the ring for Brutus the Barber Beefcake, taking on Chris Duffy. And we're going to get an insert promo here from the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, the Honky Tonk Man, and his manager, Jimmy Hart, the duo denying that Jimmy has been dressing up as Peggy Sue at the house shows. Remember, Jimmy Hart's been banned from the IC title matches at the house shows. Peggy Sue's been in Honky's corner instead. And the duo here going to deny the allegations, even though Jimmy Hart has been disrobed every night and revealed as Hart underneath the Peggy Sue costume. But at the end of the day, it's classic heel shit, guys. Deny everything, even when you have proof. Reminds me of an ex I had. But that's another story for another day. Right now, we head to the ring for Beefcake and Duffy. Chris Duffy going to go to the eyes of the Barber, puts him on the offense briefly, but Brute Eye comes right back. Big backdrop, atomic drop, and locks in that sleeper hold to score the win in just 2 minutes and 21 seconds. And of course, post-match, another free summer trim courtesy of the Barber. As we roll off now to this week's edition of the Brother Love Show. His guests this week, Bobby the Brain Heenan and King Haku. Bobby going to mention Harley Race here early on in the promo, claiming his career was cut short due to that no-good Hulk Hogan, who never even bothered to check in on Race afterwards. Lousy stinking hyena. Bobby claiming Harley Race's career cut short. Think about that, a former 7-time world champion. Hadn't reached the pinnacle yet, according to Bobby Heenan here. The Brain also says he hates the fans for their support of what Hogan did to the former king. But Brother Love gonna remind the Brain, Bobby, you have no hate, only love in your heart. Bobby Heenan then promoting Haku as the new king of the WWF and says that in order for Hogan to prove that he is the best, he will have to make it through King Haku. Boy, I'd love to see that one in a shoot, huh, guys? As we go back to the ring now, Hacksaw Duggan taking on Gino Carabello. Quick and easy squash. Going to see the clothesline from Duggan set up a 3-point stance and clothesline. Not the biggest repertoire of offense, but it does get the job done. Hacksaw picking up a win in 1 minute and 54 seconds. As we roll off now this week to our first event center with Sean Mooney. Going to hear from the Big Boss Man and Manager Slick. Also going to hear from the Birdman, Coco Beware.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Mooney here at the WWF Event Center, and I'll be right here during this hour to keep you up to date with all the news here in the World Wrestling Federation. The Doctor of Style, Slick. He often complains that his wrestlers have been robbed. Well, now he feels he has a man to keep law and order in his family. He's talking about the Big Boss Man.
You know, for months now, the Slickster has complained about the injustices of the World Wrestling Federation, how time and time again my men have been ripped off by rule-breaking competitors. Well, I've searched for an answer to the problem. I've searched for someone who knows how to set the house in order like it ought to be, someone who knows how to deal with perpetrators of injustice. And that man is standing here right now, the Big Boss Man. And Boss Man, maybe you in your own words can just let everybody know what the Boss Man's all about.
The Boss Man. Boss Man's about punishment. Punishment for anybody Slick and I deem it necessary for. Hey, pain's what makes my world go round.
The Big Boss Man from Cobb County, Georgia, the former prison guard. And pain is what makes his world go round. The word for that man is brutal. We have Coco, beware. He's got a spiritual message and a song in his heart. He's standing by.
I feel good, good, good. And I feel so good, oh yes I do. Every time I think about world wrestling, makes me feel good. Ain't that right, Frankie? Yeah! That's right, brother. When we're not wrestling, we're singing the gospel for the man upstairs. When we're not wrestling, we're having a good time, brother. We shake, rattle, and roll on our opponents. We do it all right here in the World Wrestling Federation. And if you're not a part of the World Wrestling Federation, you're nobody. Because I'm going to say one thing, brother. Frankie's been having a great time ever since he's been here. I want to say thank all the fans behind the Birdman, and God bless you. See you soon.
A song from the Birdman, Coco, beware. Of course, Frankie always by his side. He may not be the largest wrestler in the WWF, but he has faith and determination, and he has shake, rattled, and rolled his share of opponents in the World Wrestling Federation.
And I feel good, good. And I feel so good, oh yes I do, oh yeah.
Birdman cutting a generic promo there, but he does feel good after all. And if you're not wrestling for the World Wrestling Federation, apparently you're a nobody, guys. Meanwhile, on the other side, Slick now acquired the services of the Big Boss Man, supposedly to handle all of those no-good rule breakers out there in the WWF, as Boss Man says that pain makes his world go round. And then it's back to the ring for Tag Team Champion Demolition, with Mr. Fuji in their corner taking on Bill Woods and Rusty Riddle. And we get an insert promo here from Demos as they put over ending Rick Martel and Strikeforce, welcoming on all comers to sign the dotted line and be the next victims of Demolition. Truly a badass heel team are the Demos. And in the ring, you may have guessed, it's demolish and destroy. First on Bill Woods, then on poor Rusty Riddle. Demolition decapitation going to end this one. 3 minutes and 45 seconds as the shilling for SummerSlam continues on here at Challenge. We go back to the ring for George the Animal Steel with Mine in his corner, taking on Len Kruger. As we even get an insert promo here from the Animal and Mine, who says his doll is cute, soft, cuddly. As the bell sounds, it looks like the Animal seems to enjoy Len Kruger's bald head. Tries to rub the head of Kruger. Len doesn't like that so much, so instead, George Steele gonna give Kruger a face full of Mine, shoving the Mine doll face first into Kruger's face. From there, George gonna snack on Kruger's arm before applying that flying hammerlock. Gonna get the submission win in just 1 minute and 50 seconds. As post-match, seems like George Steele has given up on the turnbuckle snacking in order to turn to Mine instead. That's okay, George. You didn't need those empty calories anyway. As we roll on back to the event center with Sean Mooney, now we're going to hear from the Rockers, as well as Greg the Hammer Valentine and manager Jimmy Hart.
We are back at the WWF Event Center, and the quest for the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Championship has never been hotter among tag teams. The Rougeaus brothers, the fabulous Rougeaus brothers, Jacques and Raymond, the British Bulldogs, Davey Boy Smith, Dynamite Kid, and of course the new tag teams, the Powers of Pain, the Warlord and the Barbarian. Well, we also have a new exciting tag team. People all over the United States are talking about them. They are the Rockers.
You know, being a rocker isn't easy, but somebody's got to do it.
You know, the lifestyle of a rocker means you're looking for a life full of big adventures. And a lot of people like to sit back and just hope them things come. But you're looking at a couple of guys right here, a couple of rockers that like to go out and make things happen. And a good time to us is being world champions. And right now that means we're looking up at Demolition, and it's a long way to you boys, but I tell you what, anybody gets in the way, we're going to have to go through, right?
That's right, you know, they're the conquistadors, they're the Rougeaus brothers, there's the Bolsheviks. The names go on and on. But at the top of the heap is Demolition, and everybody's saying, rockers, how could you two guys possibly want a shot at Demolition? Well, I tell you what, brains has never been our strong point. You're dealing with two of the most stubborn boys walking the face of the earth. And I'll tell you what, size and age don't win professional wrestling matches. What inside does, and the Rockers got all of it. Woo!
They are the high-flying Rockers, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, and they are a tag team to watch in the World Wrestling Federation. Greg the Hammer Valentine has been stirring up some controversy in the WWF. It all has to do with that leg brace he calls the Heartbreaker.
You know, Hammer, everybody's talking about that you shouldn't be allowed to wear this protective leg brace when you wrestle.
Well, I tell you what, Jim, you know, everybody has questions about the knee brace, but it's not actually a knee brace. It's merely a shin guard. It's mainly just like an elbow pad or a knee pad that all wrestlers have worn for years. Greg the Hammer Valentine has never had to wear anything to beat anybody or to break a leg or any accident like that. When I use the figure four leg lock, the figure four leg lock is a very dangerous hold. This has nothing to do with it. It doesn't increase the pressure. It does nothing. The only thing it does, Jimmy, is it makes the road to the goal just that much sweeter and that much nearer to us. Right, Jimmy?
The road to the goal.
Greg the Hammer Valentine, along with his manager, Jimmy Hart, and for now, he will be allowed to continue to wear that leg brace he calls the Heartbreaker.
Well, it makes its debut this week. This is just one of several pretty new green screen backdrops with the wrestlers, I guess we'll call them logos, featured on them. We'll actually see one here for the Hammer, of all people. We also hear from the Rockers there, whose main goal is to become the tag team champions, basically putting Demolition on notice. Be careful what you wish for, guys. Meanwhile, Greg Valentine continuing to push the shin guard gimmick. It was strictly for his protection after a recent injury. So we continue on with the program. It's the Crush Soda segment of the week. One Man Gang's Gourd Buster got to get the job done, so we head back to the ring for another of Slick's men, actually two of them, talking about the Bolsheviks, Nikolai Volkov, Boris Zukov, with their manager Slick, taking on Omar Atlas and Joe Milano. And while Nikolai going to sing the Russian anthem here, we see Mike McGurk at ringside as she is going to join the list of those who enjoy the WWF ice cream bars, it would seem. Then we also get an insert promo from Slick and his Russians, calling out all teams, but specifically naming the British Bulldogs. And for those who have been listening on the news and show results episodes, you know we've seen a lot of Bolshevik Bulldog matches in recent weeks, last couple months here in the WWF. Bulldogs pivoted from the Islanders once they left to the Russian team, but don't worry, Bulldogs now beginning to get tag team title shots against Demolition on the house shows. As the action gets going here, it appears Omar Atlas, he may have something going for himself, smacking Zukov with a nice drop kick, but Omar going to miss on a second one, tagging out to Joe Milano, who takes just a quick beatdown, Boris with a Russian sickle, and then Volkov off the top rope with the Russian version of that Vegomatic. Not quite up to the level of the Midnight Express, but it does get the job done. Last time, Nikolai coming off with a flying stomp. This week, it appeared to be a diving knee. Not pretty, but it does get the win. Bolsheviks going over 2 minutes and 27 seconds. As we roll off now to a special report, we go back to a VTR from the July 9th Superstars, the DiBiase and Andre attack on the Macho Man, and we are again alerted that Randy Savage has issued a tag team challenge to that heel duo. Then it's back to the ring for the Junkyard Dog, taking on Dusty Wolf. And Dog looking larger than ever, unfortunately, this week, as Wolf avoids the headbutts early on, but he does eat a nasty clothesline. And there they are. Now the headbutts come into play, and the thump power slam, giving the Dog the quick win, 1 minute and 19 seconds. As they are working hard to promote this Summer Slam thing, yet another quick bumper for the upcoming event. Then it's back to the ring for Ravishing Rick Rude with manager Bobby Heenan. Rude taking on Ron Stevens. And with Heenan ringside, that means Gorilla all on his lonesome on commentary for this one. In the ring, though, Rick Rude with a big power slam and some posing in between. Of course, some hip gyrations. But some really cool airbrush tights this week sees two ladies facing one another, their lips just a couple inches apart. And as Rude turns around and does his butt flex pose, he makes their lips come together. Really cool visual. Beyond clever for the time. I can simply write LOL here in my notes, as it is the Rude Awakening neckbreaker going to put Stevens away, giving Rude the win in just 2 minutes and 3 seconds. And what you know it, post-match, the Ravishing One going to give another lady the Rude Awakening kiss. Then he even blows a kiss to the camera. Lipstick covered all over his face. Classic Ravishing Rick Rude here, as the feud with Jake Roberts will continue. And we continue on with Wrestling Challenge, one more event center this week. Sean Mooney standing by. We're going to hear from the likes of the fabulous Rougeaus as well as Ken Patera.
Welcome back to the World Wrestling Federation Event Center. Well, earlier on, we talked about some of the top tag teams of the World Wrestling Federation. Of course, a tag team that comes to mind are the fabulous Rougeau brothers, Jacques and Raymond. Well, they've been a little bit upset about hearing boos in arenas around the country, but now they think they have it figured out as to just why it's been happening.
Hi, I'm Raymond, and I'm Jacques. I'm just kidding. I'm Jacques is because I got his coat on. Raymond, tell him about the good news.
Well, this is great. I mean, you won't believe it. All this time, we thought you people were confusing us with Dino Bravo, and we were hearing the boos. We thought they were for us, where in reality...
They told us.
You people told us, and we appreciate it. You were booing our opponents. You told us that you loved us. And we love you too, and we love USA.
It's just great, Raymond, because we told them about moving to the United States, and right now we're fixing to do our move. It's just in a couple of weeks from now, we're coming to good old USA,
Here
Raymond.
we come.
Well, I'm not quite sure if the fans will agree here in the United States, and I have to question their sincerity about wanting to become Americans. Well, we have a man you do not have to doubt that he is proud of being an American. He is Ken Patera, and he has a message for foreign wrestlers.
During my wrestling career, I've wrestled opponents from all over the world. I've wrestled the Dino Bravos along with his manager, Frenchie Martin. Iron Sheik, he has a manager by the name of the Slick. I've never been in the ring with you, but soon I will be, Sheik. We have the Bolsheviks from Russia. Now, all these people come over here to my country, the good old USA, and they knock it. They always praise their own country. That's fine. But keep it there. Don't come over here and run my country down in front of me and in front of my fans and in front of my people, because I don't like it. Now, I'm going to tell you something, Sheik. If you continue along the lines you're continuing, there's going to be a big explosion, and that's Ken Patera beating on your watermelon head.
Ken Patera, the former Olympian, and there is no question that he is proud to be an American. A few messages for those wrestlers from foreign countries, especially the Iron Sheik. And you can bet those two will meet in the very near future right here in the World Wrestling Federation.
Well, the Rougeaus in the middle of moving to the USA. It's only going to be a few weeks now, they say. They just need to decide where they're moving to. Meanwhile, Ken Patera getting his own barbell backdrop there on the green screen and bashing the Iron Sheik in his anti-American shtick. Patera stating that he's going to squash the Sheik's watermelon head. Thank God this feud doesn't happen. We heard rumblings, we heard rumors. There's even going to be a few matches at the beginning of August, but Sheiky Baby won't stick around long enough for us to have to suffer through that one. But it was Vince's plan just in time for the Olympics. Let's do the Olympian himself, Ken Patera, against the evil foreign menace, the Iron Sheik. But we're not done with Sheiky Baby yet this week, as we head off now to the special 3-hour episode. It's the July 18th edition of the WWF's Primetime Wrestling.
I'm Gorilla Monsoon.
And I'm your host, Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Primetime, the special, unconventional special here on Primetime. It's a 3-hour... What are you upset? How can you be upset? We just started.
Because I know I got 3 hours to sit here with you.
Well, I could make other arrangements, you know.
What, are you leaving?
Well, it's possible. You leave often enough. Why shouldn't I leave once in a while? You get under my skin.
Because you just go out there and confuse the people in the back.
Yeah.
Go ahead, tell them what you were going to.
We've got a blockbuster here, stars galore, starting off with a match that would be a main event in any arena in the entire world, Tito Santana against the master of the figure four leg lock. Guy to put him in a hospital.
That's right, Greg the Hammer Valentine did put him in the hospital. He won the Intercontinental title from him a couple years back.
2 former champions.
That's right.
Honky Tonk Man is with us this week.
And Bret the Whiner Hart.
No, that's the Hitman.
He's changed since
since
he lost the Battle Royal in WrestleMania. He's just been doing nothing but crying. He's got Neidhart crying. I don't understand their situation.
I'm interested in this latest acquisition of the Slicksters, this Big Boss Man. I understand that you also know the guy very well.
Well, I don't know him very well.
Of course, anything that has to do with slammers and things like that, I know that you're familiar with.
Never been incarcerated in my life.
No, huh?
My record is
You mean
clean.
in this country? How about when we were over in France?
That was a fender bender with Frenchie Martin. They just pulled us over for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Didn't last that long.
The new king is with us this week as well?
That's right. The new king is with us this week.
How could you possibly have a special without the king?
And how could you possibly do anything this big on USA Network without having Brother Love?
Please, please. Our first match coming at you right now, Tito Santana against the Hammer.
There it is, the unconventional special, 3-hour special, that is, of prime time here this week, July the 18th. Bobby Heenan, Gorilla Monsoon on commentary. And what a lineup. Did you guys hear that one? And if that wasn't all the great matches coming up this week, all the great stars of the WWF, Brother Love going to be live in the primetime studio. And I can't wait for that. As we continue on with this episode, not necessarily an exclusive, but it is one of 3 rare appearances from the Iron Sheik in a wrestling match here in the summer of '88 for the WWF. We're going to see Sheik on this episode of Primetime pinning Cowboy Scott Casey after a loaded curl-toed boot and a gut-wrench suplex. Match goes nearly 10 minutes. You guys can find that match on the July 9th Boston Garden Show. As post-match, we come out of that encounter, Sheiky Baby going over on Scott Casey. We're going to hear Gorilla and the Brain.
Well, obvious to me, Brain, that Sean Mooney, superstar Billy Graham, nor his lordship Alfred Hayes knows a great deal about the Sheik, what a horrible, despicable individual slime that he is. They never brought
Being awful hard on Lord Alfred.
No, I'm not talking about Lord Alfred. I'm talking about the Sheik.
Oh, the Sheik. Well, you have to understand, he's a foreigner, and he doesn't really understand the ways
we have
of
to
America.
make allowances for. Why don't he stay over there in Iran then, or wherever he came from?
Well, it's a little hot over there, you know.
Yeah. It's a little hot everywhere right now.
Well, and then his foreman tells me, he gives me the signal that cousin Brother Love is outside. So I go outside. There's no Brother Love. This guy must be on the payroll from you. I'm not leaving here again. I knows what you say behind my back.
You told me that he is, in fact, on the way. You talked to
Miss Betty is bringing the limo. She has the big Chrysler New Yorker.
We have that to look forward to, and also coming up in mere moments, exciting youngsters.
No, I'm not going. I don't care if he...
Bobby's saying that Iron Sheik he's a foreigner. He's simply misunderstood. Give him a break, Gorilla. Is Bobby continuing to wait for the arrival of Brother Love to the TV set? So the show continues on as we see one of those big boss man vignettes, and we come back out to hear what the duo have to say about the newcomer from Cobb County, Georgia.
Indeed. Why do I get the feeling, Brian, every time I see this guy, this big boss man, that at one time or another, he might have been on both sides of those bars?
I don't know why you get that feeling. But here's a pack of cigarettes. Next time you talk to him, you can bribe the head screw and he'll maybe give you a day in the yard.
Will you stop? You may need him, I'm telling you. With the way you carry on, there's no telling when you're going to end up in the slam.
Ever watch Big Boss Man at the end of...
Incidentally, he's going to be on later.
Oh, yes, he will
be.
After watching him wrestle, you have a strong desire to go out and make a license plate?
Oh, will you stop?
So Gorilla Monsoon speculating that maybe the boss man has been on both sides of those bars at one point in time, if you know what I mean. Meanwhile, Bobby Heenan passing Monsoon a pack of cigarettes in the middle of this segment, says he might need them to bribe the boss man at some point. I think that's the first time I've seen cigarettes used as a prop here in the WWF, but leave it to prime time, leave it to Bobby. As we continue on, Brother Love, finally here. It's Brother Love joining the show, and Gorilla Monsoon is none too pleased.
You're going to do it.
I'm not.
You're going to do it.
Folks, now would be a good time if you have a pet that needs to be walked.
Like a
Or you
gorilla.
would like to go out into the kitchen and make yourself a prosciutto or a pastrami sandwich or something like that.
A prosciutto.
Yeah, prosciutto. That's Italian ham. Didn't you know? You don't know anything, do you?
These people are into
You think I'm
wieners
going
and
to introduce
popcorn.
this piece of garbage?
You
that's coming
introduce
up?
him.
I'm not going to do it.
You want to take over every...
You want to introduce him?
I'm the host. I'll do it.
I'm not doing it.
Ladies and
I'm
gentlemen,
not doing it.
one of the biggest treats right now in your life. That's right.
What a lie.
Turn the volume up. Sit there on your rented furniture with the springs coming out of it. Push aside those lukewarm TV dinners, because I've got something for you. A man that has changed my life and a lot of people's lives.
For the worse.
He has brought love into my heart, into my life, and he's going to change your life and everybody else's.
Take every dime you got.
Ladies and gentlemen, and I use that term loosely, brother love.
Oh, give me a break.
Good to see ya.
Even though this is cable, I don't think we're ready for this.
Thank
Need
you,
something.
Brother Brain. So good to see
Good
you.
to see you.
Good to see you
Have a
once
safe trip?
again. Very good. You
Dangerous
know,
long trip,
Sister
but-
Betty was right there to pick me up. There was a little
You're not
problem
the
with
first
the
one.
limousine.
Well, that happens.
Well,
Now we're dealing with humanoids out there, but don't you worry about that.
I understand.
Hope you guys are having a good time.
Brother Gorilla.
No, you're not a brother of mine. How do you know I'm not
Will you
related
be nice to the guest? Boy.
It's not my guest, he's your guest.
Well, then be nice to my guest. I'm the host.
Well, Brother Gorilla, I've got something for you. Brother Brain, do you have it?
Oh, I've had a stash for hours.
Right, he's got about everything you can imagine.
Brother Gorilla, we have a gift for you. I have brought something for you. It's for you. It is for you, Brother Gorilla. And I know that for some reason, whatever that reason may be, maybe you don't like Brother Love. That's okay. Please accept this gift from Brother Love.
You are disgusting. You understand the word disgusting? You know what that means?
Does he mean it?
Do I mean it? I'll show you whether I mean it or not. You and Brother Love just have a good time here.
So long.
Please sit down. He's jealous.
I brought this gift for him.
I'll see to it that he gets it.
Well, there it was, Gorilla Monsoon urging everybody before he arrives, maybe go make yourself a sandwich. Go make a prosciutto. You don't hear that word every day. Some Italian ham there from Monsoon. And as Bobby introduces Brother Love to the Primetime Studios, Gorilla Monsoon referring to him as a piece of garbage. But Brother Love and Bobby Heenan have a gift for Brother Gorilla. You're no brother of mine, says Monsoon. You are disgusting. I had to pop for that one. Great lines here by Gorilla Monsoon. His disgust here in this segment is just awesome, as Gorilla can't take it anymore and actually leaves the primetime set. Meanwhile, Heenan and Bruce Pritchard, Brother Love, have some fun here. They talk about the Book of Love, which, thanks to one of the camera angles we see, is completely blank. Inside, Bobby Heenan pretending to read something in there. Production snafu, catching the brain reading blank pages, however. As the program continues on, after about a half hour of fun, Brother Love going to leave the set, Gorilla Monsoon going to return, and at the end of the show, the Gorilla is going to apologize.
Well, folks, that wraps it up for this unconventional special here on Primetime Wrestling. I want to apologize to all of you out there. I know you must be feeling a little sick right now. I apologize for leaving you here for 2 or 3 segments with those 2 pieces of garbage out here that had to make you upset. I know it made me.
The Killer Bees were here?
No, you and Brother Furnham.
Love. You're just jealous.
He doesn't know anything about love.
You'll come
Neither
around.
do you.
You'll come around.
Come around to what?
His way of thinking.
Oh, please.
Ted Dibiase, the $1 Million Man, and Virgil's seen the light. I've seen the light. Andre the Giant.
They're merely using you guys, and you don't even realize
Are
that.
you kidding me? I'm smarter than that.
You're supposed to be the brain.
You got to get up pretty late in the day to get ahead of me.
Late in the day.
I mean, early in the morning. You know what I mean.
You get raked over the coals right now, I'll tell you that, by Brother Love. But you can count on it. It'll be a long time before he's ever a special guest here on Prime Time once again.
If I want him here next week,
Please.
He'll be here next week.
We may have to deal with some footage that's going to be on tape of him, but as far as him personally appearing, I will
Don't count me short.
Don't count you short. You always come up short. Give me a break,
Are you
Frank.
kidding? You might be gone. He might be the new co-host.
Hey, that would suit me just fine. I wouldn't have a
And
problem
have you
with
out in the lobby crying and everything?
I would.
I want you to hear a little something.
What do you mean?
I want you to hear a little something that'll change your life.
Please.
Roll it.
I love you.
That's your gift.
That's for me.
That's for
you.
you.
I got something for you. Would you
Hey,
like?
knock that off. Thinks he's got something for me.
Yeah, here it is, right here, pal. You wash you and that other piece of garbage right out of here. Until next week, Gorilla Monsoon for Wet Eye, saying so long, everybody. Have a good weekend. Oh, what's that stuff? That's Gorilla.
So there you hear it. Monsoon apologizing for the 2 pieces of garbage. Bobby Heenan in response, oh, the killer bees were here? That was random. Random choice. Still had to laugh. Gorilla Monsoon going to make sure that Brother Love in studio never happens again. I was kind of cringing, a little worried about a 3-hour edition of Primetime, but honestly, with the action they put in this week, the show really flowed. And in between all of that action, we even got an event center. Sean Mooney standing by with ravishing Rick Rude and the barber, Brutus Beefcake.
And right now, we have a hot situation that exists here in the World Wrestling Federation with Jake the Snake Roberts and ravishing Rick Rude. You know the story. Rick Rude's attempted rude awakening on Jake's wife, Cheryl. Well, believe it or not, ravishing Rick Rude says he understands why Jake the Snake is upset.
You know, Jake, I can understand how you'd be a little bit upset. You see, I'd be upset if somebody roughed up one of my women. But the fact of the matter is, Jake Roberts, nobody messes with any of my women. How about you? How do you feel, Jake Roberts? And what are you going to do about it? You've been running around the country shooting your mouth off about what you're going to do to ravishing Rick Rude. Well, now you've got to get in the ring, and you've got to prove it to all the people. You've got to prove that you're not a stinking liar, Jake. And that's what you are. You are a stinking liar because you can't beat ravishing Rick Rude. I'm too much of a man for you. I was too much of a man for your old lady. Jake Roberts, you're in for a rude awakening.
Well, ravishing Rick Rude has a rude awakening in mind, but this time it is for Jake the Snake Roberts. That is going to be some match. Brutus the Barber Beefcake. He is the top contender for the Intercontinental Championship, and he plans to do some strutting and cutting.
Oh, yeah, baby, I just want to say one thing. I just want to tell all you suckers out there. I want to tell you honky-tonk, you Hercules, and all you Herculeses out there, that this is Brutus the Barber Beefcake. You don't walk on me, and you don't walk on the things I stand for. Because I'm a man, and I've got a lot of guts, and I step in the ring with you, and I look you in the eye. And you can't beat me. You can't hold my shoulders down for a 3 count. You can't beat me, and you can't beat what I stand for. So you might as well hightail it out of here, brother, because you're fighting a losing battle. You might even lose your hair.
Brutus the Barber Beefcake with a message for the honky-tonk man, the mighty Hercules, and anyone else who might be a possible challenger, but he has some stiff competition out there. The one-man gang, Bam Bam Bigelow, Dino Bravo, just to name a few. We've got more World Wrestling Federation action coming your way right after this.
All right, so the Ravishing One, the Barber, both have their eyes set on the prize. Of course, Rude looking to do away with Jake and maybe take wife Cheryl in the process. Meanwhile, the Barber gunning for the Honky Tonk Man's IC title. Good luck with that one, Beefcake, as we have 3 primetime exclusives this week, all taped back June the 22nd in Binghamton at the Broome County Arena, talking about Greg Valentine over Tito Santana by disqualification. Match goes nearly 9 minutes when the Rock Don Muraco can take no more. Saw the Hammer trying to use that shin guard to perhaps re-injure the leg of Tito Santana. Remember, it was several years back that Valentine broke the leg of Santana during their IC title feud. The Hammer trying to do that again here. Don Muraco, that's all he could stand. He can't stand no more, rushing out, causing the outside interference disqualification, giving Valentine the win just as he was about to put Santana in that figure 4 match. Goes 8 minutes and 40 seconds. Also, we get another King Haku match with Bobby Heenan by his side. Haku going over on Joe Milano with the crescent kick in just 2 minutes and 35 seconds. And the big feature match this week, and boy was it ever, the Hitman Bret Hart, formerly under the tutelage of Jimmy Hart, but still contracted to Jimmy, I might add. But it's the Hitman with the anvil in his corner battling Jimmy Hart's Honky Tonk Man for the Intercontinental title. So we have Jimmy Hart ringside managing the Honky Tonk Man, and Honky Tonk's opponent is another man, also currently managed by Jimmy Hart, but no longer wanted. Talking about the Hitman Bret Hart. So Hart going after his first piece of singles gold here, as the match will spill out to the floor. Going to go to a double countout in 8 minutes and 5 seconds. Both men fighting on the outside. Going to be another 3 years, Brett, before you find that icy gold.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following: heartburn, tum-ta-tum; acid indigestion, tum-ta-tum-tum; sour stomach, it's tum-ta-tum-tum-tums.
Hey guys, Ray Russell here, curator of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, inviting you guys to listen to many of the programs here as part of the WrestleCopia brand, including, but not limited to, the Wrestling Memory Grenade, currently covering the 1988 and the WWF project. You can also listen to the Regional Wrestling Podcast, where we talk the territories, whether it's Jamie Ward with Georgia 81, Roman Gomez with the UWF in 1986, or Gene Jackson covering Memphis in 85. 3 projects going on right now over there at Regional Wrestling. You can also listen to the Wrestling Stoop with the legend himself, Bob Roop. Bob goes back in time each and every week, covering not just his career, but countless stories and interactions with hundreds of wrestling names spanning his 2 decades in the business. But that's not all. You can also check out the Puro Wrestling Academy with the professor of Puro Resu, Mr. Dan Ginnity. Dan and I go back in time and cover the history of Japanese professional wrestling in the English language. And you can listen to all of those shows and more, all part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, located over at WrestleCopia.com. That's WrestleCopia.com, and anywhere your podcast streaming needs are met, from Apple to Spotify, Pocket Cast, and beyond. And while you're at it, why not subscribe to our social media guys for all the latest goings on here at the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Plus, I'm constantly adding old school video clips and pictures from throughout wrestling history. You can follow us over on X, formerly Twitter, at Wrestling Grenade. That's at RASSLIN Grenade. Also, follow and like me, Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. And why not subscribe to YouTube.com/Wrestling Grenade. And of course, now would be a fantastic time to become a WrestleCopia patron. I'm talking about that $5 all access tier over at patreon.com/WrestleCopia. That address again, patreon.com/WrestleCopia, where you get so many gifts for just $5, including all of my insanely detailed show notes for every episode of The Grenade Show, Regional Wrestling, and the Monday Warfare podcast. You'll also get early access to a lot of the podcasts here on the WrestleCopia brand, where you can listen days and sometimes as much as a week earlier than the rest of the listeners. We also offer remastered versions of the earliest episodes of The Grenade Show, covering the 1989 NWA project. Includes enhanced sound quality, plus new content and conversation never heard before. But that's still not all, guys. You also get at least a dozen digital downloads for your viewing and reading pleasure each and every month, plus random bonus video drops, and of course, the Patreon exclusive Watch Along series, covering many past WWF and WCW events. And if that's not all, videocasts, also now a part of Patreon. And for those who like all of their podcasts in one nice, neat little pile, the WrestleCopia Patreon also offers a Patreon exclusive Spotify account. You can actually go over to your Spotify with your WrestleCopia Patreon credentials. Instead of listening or downloading directly from Patreon, you can go over to Spotify, listen to all the latest shows, including all of the early releases. And you get all of that and so much more for just $5. No subscription, cancel anytime. Give it a try for a month, guys. I think you'll like the content that I offer, and every penny of it goes right back here into paying the bills. So if you're looking to support that next up-and-coming podcast brand, please consider making it WrestleCopia. Help me pay some of the bills to keep the WrestleCopia Podcast Network and all of the great shows here up and running for the months and the years to come.
Hey everybody, Gene Jackson here, inviting you to check out the Retro Wrestling Review, where each week I'm joined by some great co-hosts who help me review classic episodes of USWA Championship Wrestling, and right now we are doing week-by-week reviews of 1993. But we don't just do reviews, sometimes we get a chance to interview some of the people who were there and lived it, plus do watch-alongs. It's a lot of fun, so check out new episodes that drop every Wednesday at WrestleCopia.com, and to find links to everything associated to the podcast, you can go to USWApodcast.com.
As we move on to the following week, July 23rd, Superstars of Wrestling, tape back June 21st, Glens Falls, New York at the Civic Center. It's Vince McMahon and Jesse Ventura, always on the call here. And we just saw him, the Honky Tonk Man in the ring with the Hitman. We kick off Superstars the following week. Honky Tonk, Jimmy Hart out there by his side, the Colonel. Honky Tonk's opponent, Reno Riggins. As we get 1 full minute of no wrestling. Honky just kind of stalling, per the usual. But eventually, the IC champ does get into the swing of things, and it's the Shake, Rattle, and Roll neckbreaker. Going to put Riggins down in just 2 minutes and 7 seconds. Typical Honky Tonk squash. But commentary was actually used for Jesse Ventura to continue to push the next segment, which features Andre the Giant and Ted Dibiase responding to the Macho Man's challenge.
Here are my guests, Bobby the Brain Heenan, Virgil the Bodyguard, Ted Dibiase the $1 Million Man, and the eighth wonder of the world, of course, Andre the Giant. The moment is here.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Now it's time to get the response. The response to the challenge, of course, Brain, from Randy Macho Man Savage.
They gotta
take it. Of course.
I don't think so. I don't know.
He has issued a challenge to meet the tag team to my right. Eighth wonder of the world, Andre the Giant, $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, on Randy Macho Man Savage's team, a partner to be named later, and that is of his choice. The challenge is out, Mr. Heenan. What is your response, please?
I'll tell you exactly what my response is. You know, I've had some lengthy meetings lately with World Wrestling Federation President Jack Tunney. And I have asked for a concession. I have asked for something that needs to be asked for. Now, if he, Randy Macho Man Savage, the World Wrestling Federation champion, wants to go out and scrape up some partner, pay some ham and egger to hang with him to be his partner, that's fine. You want to challenge this team of Andre the Giant, $1 Million Man, that's fine. But under one condition and one condition only will that take place. And that's if we get an official, a referee that isn't some mamby-pamby sissy that doesn't have the backbone to back up a decision, not like a Dave Hebner or a Dave Hebner lookalike or a Joey Morello that can't count the past two. We want somebody that we want a man that can control law and order in that ring. And you ask me, will we sign for that? Read my lips, humanoid. Yes, How about
we
that?
will.
The big announcement.
You know, gentlemen, this may be your lucky day, Mr.
That ain't
Heenan,
the biggest announcement, McMahon.
because just prior to this interview,
What do you mean?
the office of the president indicated to me that a referee has, in fact, been assigned to this matchup,
Who?
to this challenge, by the Macho Man Randy Savage. And that guest referee is none other than Jesse the Body Ventura.
What? Jesse! Jesse Ventura! You of all people! And look, Andre and Ted DiBiase apparently very pleased with the announcement. We'll return.
There it was, special interview, Craig DeGeorge talking with Ted DiBiase, bodyguard Virgil out there, Bobby Heenan, along with Andre the Giant. Heenan, initially speaking for the team here, says he talked with President Jack Tunney, and the heels would agree to the tag team challenge laid out by Randy Savage on one condition. The heels' only request is that the contest be officiated by a man that can handle such competition. A manly man. A man that can be trusted to call it right down the middle. DeGeorge then announcing that the referee has been decided, and it will be none other than Jesse the Body Ventura. And of course, the Body laughing on commentary as Vince McMahon is astounded.
Oh, I can't believe it. I forgot I booked that, pal.
So to add to the story, DiBiase then going to flash a fistful of cash as the heels begin to laugh in unison, obviously alluding to the fact that the Body can be bought. So this really explains Jesse's hard sell of the special referee being needed for such a tag team encounter, the Body now involved in said encounter. That just leaves one last question. Who will be the partner of the Macho Man? At this point, it may not matter, with a heel referee presumably in the bad guy's pocket, as this is clearly giving the heels the presumed advantage and making us at home feel like the match could easily go either way. Good storytelling here from the World Wrestling Federation and everyone involved. As we go back to the ring for the Ultimate Warrior taking on Bob Emery, we get an insert promo from the Warrior Man, I think. Apparently the incoherent promos have started at this point, as in the action, Warrior going to deliver not one, but two big clotheslines. UW trying for an elbow drop, but totally screws that up and it turns into a senton. Ugh, poor Bob Emery. Then it's a fucking stinger splash. Warrior splash, I guess we can call it, in the corner. Anything you can do, Sting, I can do better. And then Warrior going to finish Emery off with a big splash, getting the win in just 1 minute and 42 seconds. So Warrior choosing not to use his typical gorilla press drop here, but rather a stinger splash in the corner. Very interesting. As we roll off now to an event center, Sean Mooney standing by with Bad News Brown and the Rockers.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Mooney here at the WWF Event Center, and I'll be here during this hour keeping you informed of all that is going on here in the World Wrestling Federation. And right now, we have a man in the WWF who likes nothing better than to spread bad news everywhere he goes. He is from Harlem, and he's Bad News Brown.
Who are you going to send against me now, huh? Who are you going to send against me now? Maybe your fat old grandmother? Or your three-legged dog? Because since I've been in the WWF, everybody, all your heroes that you worship, that you love, that you respect, have come into the ring against Bad News Brown, and they have got nothing but bad news. They go home and they tell a story about me, the man who has no pity on nobody. Whatever it takes to win, I will do. Because that's the way I was raised. And that's the way I'm gonna raise my kids if I ever decide to have any, is to take it all. Don't give no mercy and take no prisoners.
Right now, Bad News Brown is undefeated here in the World Wrestling Federation, but sooner or later he is going to meet his match. And right now we have a great tag team. They are the Rockers, and they are something to see. And right now they're standing by.
You know, being a rocker isn't easy, but somebody's got to do it. You know, the lifestyle of a rocker means you're looking for a life full of big adventures. And a lot of people like to sit back and just hope them things come. But you're looking at a couple of guys right here, a couple of rockers that like to go out and make things happen. And a good time to us is being world champions. And right now that means we're looking up at Demolition, and it's a long way to you boys, but I tell you what, anybody that gets in the way, we're going to have to go through, right?
That's right. You know, they're the conquistadors, they're the Rougeaus brothers, there's the Bolsheviks. The names go on and on. But at the top of the heap is Demolition, and everybody's saying, Rockers, how could you two guys possibly want a shot at Demolition? Well, I tell you what, brains has never been our strong point. You're dealing with two of the most stubborn boys walking the face of the earth. And I'll tell you what, size and age don't win professional wrestling matches. What inside does, and the Rockers got all of it. Woo!
I feel like we've heard similar promos before from Bad News Brown talking about three-legged dogs and having kids. Meanwhile, the Rockers going to rock and roll, strut and stroll, one of the latest teams here to arrive in the WWF. Hart Foundation turning face, Powers of Pain debuting, and the Rockers, also recent arrivals. What was once a very dormant babyface side of the tag team division is looking good. As we go back to the ring for the other side of the tag division, tag team champions Demolition, with Mr. Fuji taking on David Lanning and Brian Costello. As the demos head to the ring, we see a quick clip of Demolition taking out Rick Martel using their decapitation on the floor. Of course, Martel stretchered out, never to be seen again, at least not until 1989. We also get an insert promo here from Demolition, mocking Martel's elimination, and they're looking forward to doing it some more. Is Brian Costello going to get the beat down first here? And boy, does he ever, like he owed someone money. This is what you would call a legal mauling from Demolition on poor Brian Costello. And then David Lanning finally tagging in. And now it's Lanning's turn to take the beatdown. And the Demolition decapitation going to score the win, 2 minutes and 41 seconds. Now, during this matchup on commentary, Jesse Ventura talks about being a former tag team wrestler like Demolition. Of course, Ventura was a longtime partner of Adrian Adonis in the early 80s. So Ventura says that would make him a perfect guest referee for such a tag team match. Of course, Vince going to ask Jesse if he ever won the WWF tag team titles, which leads to an even more fun conversation.
Headlining for the AWA doesn't count, pal.
Hey guys, did I mention SummerSlam coming August 29th? Mark it on your calendars now as we go back to the ring for Hacksaw Jim Duggan taking on Iron Mike Sharp, hometown hero here in Glens Falls, New York. Hacksaw Duggan in town. We even get an insert promo here from Big Jim offering his services to the Macho Man, should he need it. Tough guy. And it's the 3-point stance and clothesline going to give Duggan the win over Iron Mike. Match only goes 1 minute and 30 seconds. So fun little speculation there of Duggan being the man to join Randy Savage in that tag team encounter against DiBiase and Andre. And with Hacksaw feuding with the Giant, it makes sense. As we roll off now to the Event Center, and Sean Mooney going to hear from The Rock, Don Muraco, and more from the fabulous Rougeaus brothers.
We're back at the WWF Event Center, and we have a hot situation brewing right here in the World Wrestling Federation between The Rock, Don Muraco, and Greg the Hammer Valentine. Many of you may have seen Greg Valentine torturing superstar Billy Graham with that shin guard and his figure 4 leg lock. Well, Don the Rock Muraco wants to even the score.
Oh, you got lessons to learn. You see, Jimmy Hart, Greg the Hammer Valentine. You know, what happens is, what it's all about is when the red light comes on, when the red light turns on, everything in that square circle is mine, and I stand up for it. That not only stands for superstar Billy Graham, who I owe you very, very serious dues for, but that stands for every particle of dust laying in between those 4 corners, Greg Valentine. You were in the ring where you didn't belong because it was my time. It's my time now to come looking for you. It's my time to find you. If that little slime, Jimmy Hart, gets so much even breeze on me, I'm going to walk on him before I step all over you.
The Rock, Don Muraco. He has a score to settle with Greg the Hammer Valentine. He'll get that opportunity very soon in the very near future. What about this tag team, the fabulous Rougeaus brothers? They are top contenders, but I think one has to question their sincerity. Let's hear what they have to say.
Hi, I'm Raymond. And I'm Jacques. I'm just kidding. I'm Jacques is because I got his coat on. Raymond, tell him about the good news.
Well, this is great. I mean, you won't believe it. All this time, we thought you people were confusing us with Dino Bravo, and we were hearing the boos. We thought they were for us, where in reality...
They told us.
You people told us, and we appreciate it. You were booing our opponents. You told us that you loved us. And we love you too, and we love USA.
It's just great, Raymond, because we told them about moving to the United States, and right now we're fixing to do our move. It's just in a couple of weeks from now, we're coming to good old USA,
Here
Raymond.
we come.
The fabulous Rougeaus brothers, Jacques and Raymond. Still hearing boos in the arenas, but just not quite sure where they're coming from. They are top contenders in the World Wrestling Federation and climbing the ladder to the top, hoping for a title shot with Axe and Smash of Demolition. We'll have more World Wrestling Federation action coming your way right after this.
So Don Muraco getting his green screen, a volcano in the background for the backdrop, and The Rock, of course, from Sunset Beach, Hawaii. Meanwhile, the Rougeaus brothers, they switched jackets on us. Raymond wearing the Jacques jacket, Jacques wearing Raymond, those silly Rougeaus. Can't wait till they move to the USA. As speaking of the Rougeaus, at this point, we get a Killer Bees promo who are still hot about the Rougeaus screwing them out of that tag team matchup a couple weeks ago. And they use this interview to plug the WWF ice cream bars. As while they're still hot about being screwed, they can eat the ice cream bars to cool themselves off. Then it's back to the ring for Ravishing Rick Rude with manager Bobby Heenan, Rude's opponent Joe Milano. Another mauling from the Ravishing one this week. The Rude Awakening going to get the quick win, 1 minute and 32 seconds, and another kiss to a female fan post-match. As during the bout, more banter between Vince McMahon, Jesse Ventura, Vince wondering If Jesse's in the pocket of the $1 Million Man and crew, Jesse says he doesn't need Dibiase's money because he just got his first residual check from The Predator being released on VHS. Jesse getting some residuals there, telling it like it is, if you will, as we go off now to an update from Lord Alfred Hayes talking the top challengers for Demolition's tag team titles. And I have no idea what the Powers of Pain have done in just a week's time, or even more so, I certainly have no idea who the Bolsheviks have beat to earn the top 2 slots, but apparently they seem to be the 2 teams in line for the Demolition's tag team title belts at this point, as we see clips from both teams in action, and we then go off to a promo from manager Slick and his Bolsheviks.
The Bolsheviks are on a hot winning streak and claim not to be impressed by the Powers of Pain. Can it be true that the Warlord and the Barbarian, with their devastating teamwork, do not intimidate the Russians? Let us hear what the Bolsheviks have to say.
Oh yes, Powers of Pain, you are truly 2 impressive individuals. What fantastic physiques. But remember, muscles don't do fighting, and these 2 men are highly trained, professional veterans. Remember that longevity has its place, and when you step in the ring with these guys, they're gonna knock you so far down the ground, they have to pump daylight to you, and after that, they'll pick you up and throw you so far up in the air, you'll starve to death before you hit the ground.
So the Doctor of Style saying, hey, the Powers of Pain, they're big and bad. Great bodies, but it's all about experience and longevity, like his Russians. Slick predicting victory should the 2 teams meet, and I had to fantasy book here for a minute. Bolsheviks versus a heel Demolition? Now that could have been fun. Kill the commie team and send them packing demos. But this does indirectly set up the Powers of Pain Bolshevik matches on the upcoming house shows. We'll also see them at WrestleFest, and spoiler alert, the 2 teams will even compete at Summer Slam. As we go off to another Big Boss Man vignette, behind the bars this time is where we're sitting. Boss Man asking us at home, how does it feel being in the hole? Knowing when you get out, you got to answer to the Big Boss Man. Scary thought. I might just stay in the hole. As we go back to the ring tag team action, going to see the Hart Foundation, Hitman Bret Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart taking on Scott Casey and Leaping Lanny Poffo. We get an insert promo here from the former manager Jimmy Hart, getting more pissed off by the week. Jimmy seems to have had enough at this point. He points out he still has the Hart Foundation's contracts. He's still their manager, and they're going to pay. You can't fire me, baby. So Jimmy Hart now accepting the fact that the Harts no longer want him ringside, but he's still going to be collecting a percentage of their checks. As Lanny Poffo's poem here this week approves of the Hart's firing of Jimmy Hart. Oh, I'm afraid that's not going to save you here, Laniel. As Anvil beats down on Poffo to start, Scott Casey tags in quickly and takes a beating from both members of the Hart Foundation. It's a power slam by the Anvil, pulls Casey up on a 2 count, Hitman with a backbreaker, standing dropkick, then from Neidhart, and the signature middle rope elbow from Bret Hart as well. Just wearing down Casey before Scott finally suffering a heart attack, giving the Foundation the win, 3 minutes and 42 seconds. Lanny Poffo was only in this match for maybe 10 seconds of that. So Scott Casey, the MVP here, taking a beatdown, a whooping from the Hart Foundation, as the babyface anti-Jimmy Hart push is great for Bret and the Anvil. The fans are quickly getting behind the Foundation. But the weird dynamic of wrestling like heels against other babyface thing, it's just mind-boggling. Just trying something new, pal. Well, stop. As Summer Slam is coming, we go back to the ring for King Haku with manager Bobby Heenan, Haku's opponent Jerry Allen, as Heenan before the matchup demanding on the microphone for the crowd to rise and then bow before their new king. Obviously, the fans do not oblige. We also get an insert promo from the king himself, Haku, going to speak. He says everyone will bow at his feet because he will make them. Now that could happen. As the match gets going, Jerry Allen going to throw a series of punches, but Haku will duck and dodge a reverse crossbody off the middle rope. Jerry Allen standing up right into a thrust kick from Haku. Nobody gets up. Match goes 2 minutes and 25 seconds to end the program. We learn next week, right here on Superstars, the undisputed WWF champion Macho Man Randy Savage will announce his tag team partner to take on the duo of the $1 Million Man and Andre the Giant. Great ongoing storyline throughout this entire episode. Vince and Jesse really pushing it on commentary, selling it hard throughout the entire program. And Ventura, he always did a great job in his role of pushing things here, but being involved in the actual story made him even better in his engagement. So the story continues. We know Dibiase and Andre have accepted the challenge of the Macho Man. We know that Jesse Ventura will be the special guest referee. Now we're just waiting for the final piece of the puzzle. Who will be Randy Savage's tag team partner? We'll find out next time right here on the Wrestling Memory Grenade as we close out this edition of Superstars. It's back to the Event Center. We're going to hear from the likes once again of the Big Boss Man and Manager Slick. We're also going to hear from the Barber.
And there is a new man in the stable of the Doctor of Style, Slick. He says he represents the law, and he is known as the Big Boss Man. He is a former prison guard from Cobb County, Georgia. Now, the law is a dangerous thing in the hands of the wrong man, and nowhere is that more evident than with this man's wrestler.
You know, for months now, the Slickster has complained about the injustices of the World Wrestling Federation, how time and time again my men have been ripped off by rule-breaking competitors. Well, I've searched for an answer to the problem. I've searched for someone who knows how to set the house in order like it ought to be, someone who knows how to deal with perpetrators of injustice. And that man is standing here right now, the Big Boss Man. And Boss Man, maybe you in your own words can just let everybody know what the Boss Man's all about.
The Boss Man. Boss Man's about punishment. Punishment for anybody slick and I deem it necessary for. Hey, pain's what makes my world go round.
Pain is what makes his world go round? I think a lot of men in the World Wrestling Federation would like to stay clear of that world. We've got a man who likes to do some strutting and cutting. I think you know who I'm talking about. He is Brutus the Barber Beefcake, and he's standing by.
Oh, yeah, baby, I just want to say one thing. I just want to tell all you suckers out there. I want to tell you honky-tonk and you Hercules and all you Herculeses out there that this is Brutus the Barber Beefcake. And you don't walk on me, and you don't walk on the things I stand for. Because I'm a man, and I've got a lot of guts, and I step in the ring with you, and I look you in the eye. And you can't beat me. You can't hold my shoulders down for a 3 count. You can't beat me, and you can't beat what I stand for. So you might as well hightail it out of here, brother, because you're fighting a losing battle. You might even lose your hair.
Brutus the Barber Beefcake sending out a message to the other top contenders in the World Wrestling Federation to not only beware of his ring skill, but also you better look out for those shears because he is not afraid to do some cutting. We've got more World Wrestling Federation action coming your way. Stay tuned.
So Boss Man reiterating, pain makes the world go round. Meanwhile, the Barber continuing to address the honky-tonk man and all the Herculeses out there. Interesting. I don't even know the last time we've seen Hercules on TV, but it did make me chuckle. All the Herculeses out there of the WWF. Beware of the Barber. As we roll on to Wrestling Challenge July 24th, tape back June 22nd, Binghamton, New York at the Broome County Arena. Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon on commentary, as always, as it's the challenge debut now of the Powers of Pain, taking on Brad Andrews and Tony Parks. And even the Brain going to take notice here on commentary of this brand new tag team, putting over the size of the Barbarian and the Warlord, as the Doctor of Style once again popping up ringside. And this time it's Slick taking the pictures of the POP. Not sure what a picture is going to do, but Slick does seem impressed with what he sees, as Barbarian going to press Andrews right down onto Parks. Sheer power. Just insane here from Barbarian. Warlord then in using Dino Bravo's side suplex. You can't do that, Warlord. Can't use other guys' finishers. Barbarian back inside with the big boot. And not just any boot, it's one of those Barbarian boots. In fact, it's 2 Barbarian boots on poor Mr. Andrews here, as Parks finally going to tag into the matchup, but goes straight into the Warlord running power slam and the Barbarian diving headbutt. The combo finisher picking up the win, 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Quick and easy win again for the Powers of Pain, continuing to dominate in short fashion as we roll off to special report. And Craig DeGeorge talking more about the Andre and Dibiase attack of the Macho Man, again reiterating Randy Savage's challenge with a partner of his choosing, as we go off now to hear from the heel team, as well as the official announced for the matchup. We're going to hear from the body himself, Jesse Ventura.
Randy Savage has spoken, though, issuing a challenge last week to $1 Million Man Ted Dibiase and Andre the Giant. The challenge, a tag team match with Savage selecting a partner of his choice at a later date. Now, manager Bobby the Brain Heenan said he would accept the challenge under one condition, that being the selection of a tough guy, no-nonsense referee. Has the deal been struck? Well, it's up to Mr. Heenan, and here's his response.
Well, after all the meetings I've had with World Wrestling Federation President Jack Tunney, it's come down to this. I told him, we'll be glad to accept the challenge of Macho Man Randy Savage and whatever partner he wants to find, if he can find one. But I told you under our conditions. We want a referee with some dignity, some courage. Not a Dave Hebner, not a Dave Hebner lookalike, not a Joey Morello. We want somebody we can trust. We have him now. Jesse the Body Ventura. And I'm sure you'll figure out something to do, won't you?
Well, there you have it. The long-awaited news is in. The challenge accepted. Randy Savage, partner of his choice, against Andre the Giant and Ted Dibiase. Now, we still don't know who Macho Man's partner will be just yet, but we do know who will be officiating. Meeting Mr. Heenan's condition, one Jesse the Body Ventura.
I don't know what all the problem is. Jesse the Body Ventura's the announcer who tells it like it is, and I will step into that ring, and I will referee better than anybody Jack Tunney has ever put in that ring before, because I got my pride on the line, too. I haven't spoken with the Macho Man. I haven't been bought off by Ted DiBiase's money. Jesse the Body will get into the ring. I think the most important thing is it's the first time I've stepped in the ring in over 2 years.
Jesse Ventura. So we hear the heels there, Bobby Heenan and company, gloating about the current situation, while Jesse Ventura tells us he will step in and officiate the match better than anyone else could do, because he has pride on the line. The man who tells it like it is, will he call it down the middle? We'll have to wait and see when that match comes to fruition. Speaking of matches, we head back to the ring for Tito Santana, taking on Terry Gibbs. Here's a quick bit of trivia. To my recollection, the last time these two got it on TV anyway, was during the angle where Danny Davis was fired and turned heel. Now that match only went a few seconds. This one going to go a little longer here between Santana and Gibbs. Lots of working the arm here from Tito, so we're back to this. Gibbs going to trade some punches late in the matchup, but loses that battle, and then it's Santana with the flying forearm going to score the win. 2 minutes and 59 seconds, and this sadly going to mark Terry Gibbs' final TV appearance here in the World Wrestling Federation. He's had several great years here working the prelim spot, clearly good at what he did. He was kept around for quite a while. But all good things must come to an end, and Terry Gibbs leaving the World Wrestling Federation very shortly. And it's back to singles action for Santana, which will see him basically play placeholder spot on the card. And man, I had forgotten how dull Tito's single squashes were until I watched this, and let's just put it this way. I could have lived without being reminded, as it's yet another vignette for Summer Slam, people, and back to the ring, more action straight away. Bad News Brown taking on Dave Lanning. Insert promo here from Bad News, selling his article in the latest edition of the WWF magazine. Wow, Bad News shilling the mag. Et tu, Brownicus? At least he's not eating an ice cream bar. Bad News going to attack Lanning here. And I don't believe the bell ever rings. Another quick Bad News squash ends with the Ghetto Blaster. Match only going to go 1 minute and 54 seconds. As we go off now to the event center, Sean Mooney standing by as we hear from the likes of the Young Stallions, as well as Dino Bravo and Frenchie Martin.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Mooney here at the WWF Event Center, and I'll be right here during this hour keeping you informed of all that is going on here in the World Wrestling Federation. Tag team competition. We have some great tag teams out there. The Powers of Pain, the Warlord and the Barbarian, also the Rockers, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, and these guys, the Young Stallions, Jimmy Powers and Paul Roma.
First of all, Jimmy and myself, I'd like to thank you people for your support. You know, the Stallions have only been together for 2 short years now, and we'd like to thank the people across the country and across the world, really, for getting us to the level that we've gone to so far.
That's right, Paul, but we're going to do one thing even more. We're going to go a little bit further.
because of the people's support. You know, the young stallions have an open contract. We get in the ring and we wrestle anyone at any time, any place that the World Wrestling Federation puts us up against. And we're looking forward to getting in the ring with all the tag teams. We have to face all the tag teams in order to climb up that mountain to get to the top. And at the top of that mountain sits Demolition. And Demolition, when you get in the ring with us, we're going to gallop all over you.
That's right.
The young stallions, they don't plan to stop until they get to the top and capture the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Championship. What about these guys? Frenchie Martin and Dino Bravo, they never have a nice thing to say about the United States.
USA, 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 what have you got? That's so extraordinary.
Everybody we talk to are collecting welfare checks. There's definitely a lack of discipline in this country, and we'd like to bring some discipline over here. If we have to take you one by one and teach you a lesson, we will, right, Frenchie?
Yeah, there's only one thing,
Can you imagine having a hero like Bam Bam Bigelow?
Or worse, being represented by Mr. Ken Patera, now,
Yeah, that's one thing about Americans. They love to participate, but they don't believe in winning. Let's watch the Summer Olympics. They'll come out with this, a big zero. Definitely it's time to bring discipline in this country.
Well, I think America has had just about enough of those two. As the bumper sticker says, America, love it or leave it. Dino Bravo, he believes he's the strongest man in the World Wrestling Federation. Well, that has not been proven yet.
So the Stallions rocking their brand new t-shirts. Boy, I wonder how many of those sold. What aspirations the two youngsters must have. The Stallions looking to, and I quote, go a little bit further here in 1988 as they gallop all over Demolition. Can't believe they said that with straight faces. Meanwhile, Dino Bravo still hating on America, talking about the U.S. citizens collecting their welfare checks. Probably still better than getting involved in a cigarette smuggling gimmick and opposing the French-Canadian Mafia, but what do I know? As we go back to the ring for the Rockers, taking on Iron Mike Sharp and Chris Duffy, we get an insert promo here from the fabulous Rougeaus with toothpick sticker American flags this week. I had to write LOL. As they share their thoughts on the Rockers in the ring, the Rougeau brothers deeming the Rockers too cocky to make it here in the WWF. The, of course, irony being the Rougeaus are the ones getting a little cocky for their own good. But you got to love those little American flags. You might stick in an hors d'oeuvre little sticker, American flags wrapped around a toothpick. I think they would have stuck with that, but the visual's just so small, it doesn't work for TV. But the idea behind it, I love it. As a great double teaming here, as usual, by the Rockers. Amazing timing. So effortless, you forget how hard it should be to be this in sync with one another each and every week. But the Rockers going to get it done. Duffy accidentally blasting Iron Mike off the apron.
Oh, okay.
And Marty Jannetty power slamming Duffy in place. Shawn then going up top, leaping off of Marty's shoulders. Flying splash, going to give the Rockers the win. 4 minutes and 14 seconds. As we go back to the event center, Sean Mooney, we're going to hear from the Outlaw Ron Bass and the Ultimate Warrior.
We are back at the WWF Event Center, and we've got a lot of outlaws there in the World Wrestling Federation. One in particular, he is the big bad man from Texas, and he is the Outlaw Ron Bass. You may have seen him on national television many times, torturing his opponent with Miss Betsy. Well, he has a few comments for us.
Big Outlaw here, you know, there's been a lot of people come up to me and say, Outlaw, just how come that you feel like you gotta have Miss Betsy when you get in the ring? Well, my answer to that is you just look around here, you see people that's got alliances formed, you see people that's got managers, you see them got partners, you see them with snakes, you see them with dogs, you see them with giants, you see them with everything. Let me tell you something, all those other people will let you down at times. And I know Miss Betsy, she's going to be there when I look at that car. She's going to be hanging there, and she's going to be saying, hey, come and get me, Ron. We'll get them. We'll take the hide right off their back. So that's why I've got her, people, because I know she's dependable. She's going to be there, and she's just like the Big Outlaw. Big, mean, and nasty.
The Outlaw Ron Bass from Houston, Texas, and Miss Betsy. What a couple they make. We have a very intense individual in the World Wrestling Federation. He is the Ultimate Warrior, and he has a message for all the little warriors out there.
By now, all the little warriors know that the power of the Ultimate Warrior is something that you want to feel, that you want to taste. It's something that when you turn on that TV screen or when you buy a ticket in those arenas, you know that it's going to be exciting and it might even be a little bit frightening. because sometimes it becomes hard to breathe. Well, little warriors, take a big deep breath, because legends weren't built overnight and legends don't fall easy. There's been one legend, Hercules, that you see me do combat with. He's fallen before the ultimate warrior, like all the warriors before. I make a promise to all you little warriors that this man right here, 290 pounds of blood, guts, and fury, is not going to let you down in the WWF. All the evil in the WWF come face to face and look me eye to eye. They're going down.
The Ultimate Warrior, he fears no one in the World Wrestling Federation, and he plans to take care of all the evil in the WWF single-handedly. That is going to be some task, but he is one individual who is very capable of it. We've got more World Wrestling Federation action coming your way right after this. Stay tuned.
Well, Miss Betsy continues to be factored into the Outlaws match as Ron Bass about to move away from the Junkyard Dog. We'll have to wait and see who his next victim will be. Meanwhile, we hear about the power of the Warrior. UW says it might be frightening. And at times, perhaps it was. The Warrior Man, though, says he will never let his little warriors down. Well, hopefully you keep that word, UW. Back to the ring for Greg the Hammer Valentine with manager Jimmy Hart. Valentine's opponent this week, Mario Mancini. As we get an insert promo here from Rock Don Muraco, still coming for the Hammer. Says the superstar will walk again. Perhaps Don, but not without a cane. In the ring here, Valentine busting out not one, but two lazy man suplexes, picking Mancini up for a vertical and just dropping him there, followed by the big Hammer elbow drop before adjusting that shin guard and locking in the figure four. Going to give Valentine the win, 3 minutes and 14 seconds. And kind of a stretched out squash here for the Hammer, but takes him a few minutes to get warmed up, right, Gorilla? And hey guys, did I mention that SummerSlam? It's going to be a happening. Promos now suggesting it's coming to pay-per-view Monday night, August the 29th. As we roll off now to this week's edition of the Brother Love Show and his guests, Jake and Cheryl Roberts.
It's my guest this week is a couple that needs to learn about love. Yes, they do. So at this time, please welcome Jake the Snake Roberts.
Oh, this is going to be interesting.
And the Harlot. And his wife.
Yep.
Cheryl.
Listen to the ovation.
Welcome, Brother Snake.
First thing, brother, is I'm not your brother. You got that? Now, I'm going to tell you the reason I came out here, and there's only one. And that's because you had Rick Rude out here a few weeks back, and he's running his mouth saying what he's going to do to me, what he's going to do to her. Hey, man, what's your problem, huh?
Yeah, hang on. I'll get to you in just a minute. Because you are who I want to talk to, Sister Snake.
I'm not your sister. And I'm not related to anybody here except for this man.
Well, I do know one thing. You are not my sister. But I do believe that maybe I do know someone whom you are related to. Perhaps Jezebel.
Oh! You know that microphone real still.
Better get somebody out there right now.
I'm going to tell you something right now.
Exactly what
it's up to each individual to put a price on things that they own. Now, I have not overpriced anything, especially my wife, brother. And it's a price that you or anybody else can afford to pay.
Look at the look on that kisser.
Well, the man's got on glasses.
He didn't strike him, did he?
Well, he's terrified. You can tell that. Jake the Snake is a very cruel person. He's a very mean man.
Look at him. He completely ignored him. Here, turned his back on him. Give me a break.
Well, Jake the Snake had nothing to say.
He got his feathers ruffled a little bit, Brain.
I'm going to find out more about this.
We'll be back.
Well, Brother Love did not seem interested in talking with the Snake Man, ignoring Jake and hamming himself up on camera, showing off his jewelry and those lovely pearly white teeth. Brother Love going to turn to Sister Cheryl, who says she's not related to Brother Love or anyone here in the WWF besides Jake. Love thinks Cheryl must be related to someone, maybe someone by the name of Jezebel. And that's when the Snake Man going to snatch Love up by his lapels. Brother Love looking to crap himself there, which wouldn't look pretty in white pants, mind you. Roberts has a few words there for Brother Love and Ravishing Rick in between before the babyface duo leave the set. So this actually marks Brother Love's first interview with a babyface, and also the first time a babyface would confront Brother Love physically, although Jake didn't get too deep into it. A few years later, Brother Love destined for a DDT. But we'll save that for another time and another place. Right now, we head back to the ring for the Big Boss Man with manager Slick taking on Bill Woods. We get an insert promo here again from the Boss Man and Slick. Slickster saying that the Boss Man going to wipe the WWF of all of the evil. As the action gets going, Bill Woods throws a couple of punches, and Boss Man returns with just one simple uppercut that floors Mr. Woods, followed by a spine buster and eventually that nasty Boss Man Slam. Going to score the win here for the BBM. Match goes 2 minutes and 16 seconds. And post-match, am I wrong for enjoying these? Another beating at the hands of the Boss Man, the former prison guard from Cobb County, Georgia, going to handcuff Woods to the ropes. Give him a little tough love. We talked about that last episode of The Grenade. Boss Man beating down Woods with the nightstick after the matchup. As it is yet another SummerSlam bumper. Not a whole lot of details yet. No matches announced. But they sure are building the suspense. As we head back to the ring for one more match this week on Wrestling Challenge, $1 Million Man Ted Dibiase, again accompanied by bodyguard Virgil, as well as Andre the Giant and Bobby Heenan, everyone ringside to witness Dibiase take on Jerry Allen. And Allen gets in his typical shots once again before Dibiase pitching him out to the floor, only for Andre to toss Allen right back inside, where it's a falling fist drop. The power slam and $1 Million Dream going to give DiBiase the win, 3 minutes and 18 seconds. And post-match, Jerry Allen getting a $100 bill stuffed down his mouth for his troubles. As we have one more event center for you here this week, going back to Sean Mooney as we hear from the British Bulldogs, as well as Demolition and manager Mr. Fuji.
Welcome back to the WWF Event Center. We talked a little bit earlier on about tag team here in the World Wrestling Federation. Well, one top contending team is the British Bulldogs, Davey Boy Smith and Dynamite Kid. They were once champions of the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Championship, and they are looking to get it back again.
You know, the British Bulldogs have been in the United States now for 3.5 years. The first year we proved to all the people that we was worthy contenders for the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Championships. And we took those belts, and we kept those belts for 1 year until we lost them at the feet of the Hart Foundation. Well, that's okay, because now the British Bulldogs are back in shape, and Matilda is going to be there, and the British Bulldogs are going to go back, and we've worked our way up to the top of that ladder, and now it's time to meet the Demolition. Isn't that right, Dynamite?
That's right. And one more thing.
Matilda said the Bulldogs have been working hard, and we've been training vicious. We're ready for any team, anytime. Demolition, world champions, get ready. The Bulldogs are coming for those belts.
The British Bulldogs, they were knocked off the ladder once before. Step by step, they have climbed their way back to the top. And they would like nothing better than to face the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions, Axe and Smash of Demolition. They are standing by with Mr. Fuji.
We do not have no opponents. Every opponent we face, we cripple them. So now we have open contract to anybody. Anybody will.
And when we cripple people, Master Fuji's a very happy man. And the only way to go in that ring and win is to cripple people, and that's why we're the champions.
We're not gonna be Mr. Nice Guys anymore, right, Smash?
That's right.
Anytime anybody gets in the ring, anytime anybody signs a contract, you better have a dime. Because you're gonna have to call a hospital, and you're gonna have to make arrangements for the ambulance to pick you up. We're not gonna make that call anymore. Master Fuji wants to hold on to the gold.
Axe and Smash of Demolition, along with their manager, Mr. Fuji. He is the inspiration behind it all. He tells them to show no mercy, often crippling their opponents. And right now, they are at the top. They are the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions.
Well, the Bulldogs, they still have those World Tag Team title aspirations as they should, putting them in the conversation for a title match with Demolition. Speaking of which, Fuji there claiming that Demolition, they've run out of challengers. Hardly, Fuji. The Demos promising to get an ambulance for their future opponents once the match is over. As that's going to wrap up Wrestling Challenge, we have one more piece of business here this week. It's the July 25th edition, Primetime Wrestling, hosted as always by Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan. As we come out of the announcement, Jesse Ventura announced as the special guest referee for the big tag team match.
And look, Andre and Ted Dibiase apparently very pleased with the announcement. We'll return.
You guys could be laughing out of the other side of your mouth.
Well, I don't know what connotation.
Obviously, you think that this guy can be bought.
Oh, no, please,
Oh,
no.
Never infer
what
that,
we're
right?
trying to imply, and what we showed there was something that you are making up in your mind. He just asked for the money was handed to him. We are just glad that a man of Jesse's caliber, credentials, and...
What credentials?
He was a professional wrestler. That's more than Joey Morello was or Hebner.
Cheated with Dino Bravo?
I wasn't there. I can't tell about that. But I've got to say this. Just knowing that he will be able to control that match, that's fine for me. And the reason we were amused and
laughing...
laughing...
whose motto is win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat?
I've never heard him say that to me, but we were laughing because we were glad that once and for all, we were going to get what we wanted. I'm not saying he's on the tape.
You're going to get something you don't want. I got news for you. Plenty more action still coming this week on Primetime. This guy is going to get it.
Well, both men have their opinions. Gorilla Monsoon questioning the body's integrity here. Bobby Heenan having a laugh. The heels really think they got this one in the bag, but we'll have to wait and see. Also, this week on Primetime, the feature matchup, Andre the Giant versus Bam Bam Bigelow from a recent Madison Square Garden show. We talked about it a couple episodes ago here on The Grenade. It was Bam Bam Bigelow's final match in the WWF. Put a little context here. And Andre really roughed him up, stiffed him throughout the entire encounter. Bigelow leaving the company, quitting the WWF immediately after that matchup. Now, some say Andre bullied him out of the company. Others say that Bigelow had already given notice. This was his final night, looking to make a quick buck on the way out, taking on Andre in the main event at the Garden. And I wanted to add that context here before we go off to these sound bites of Bobby Heenan letting Bigelow really have it.
I'll be wherever the action is. Let's put it that way.
Never know where the brain is going to be. Right now, it's feature time here this week.
I'll introduce it. Andre the Giant and 393 pounds of garbage.
From Grenoble in the French Alps.
Tony was a cheap shot. Came up from behind and hit him with a board. He wasn't even involved in that match.
Went to the aid of Bam Bam Bigelow. What was Andre doing after the match was over?
He was choking.
Trying to kill a guy.
Choking all the breath out of Boom Boom.
Bam Bam.
Bye-bye, Bam Bam. You won't see any more of him.
There's no dealing with you tonight, is there?
No, there isn't. I tried to be a nice guy.
Yeah.
I came out here with love in my heart and tried to be a nice guy, but you ran my face in it.
What are you talking about?
Oh, you tried to double swerve me on the Brother Love footage.
I told you who Brother Love's guest was going to be.
You don't understand. You don't tell me.
So there you hear it. We go into the matchup. Bobby Heenan introing Andre the Giant versus 390 pounds of garbage. And then post-match, after the bout, Andre pinning Bigelow 1, 2, 3. Bobby Heenan saying, bye-bye, Bam Bam. Won't see no more of him. Making it very clear Bigelow gone from the company. Bobby, no love lost there. Wow, some of the shoots here on Primetime, especially from Bobby Heenan, are just something else. And this week we have 5, count them 5, exclusive matches aired here on this edition of Primetime Wrestling, including a match taped back July 13th in La Crosse, Wisconsin at the La Crosse Center. It's match number 2 of the Iron Sheik here. 2 of 3 that will make air. Iron Sheik with manager Slick. Slickster back managing the Iron Sheik, defeating John Yates in just about 3 minutes with the Camel Clutch. And then 4 matches, all taped July 14th, part of a taping in Cedar Rapids, Iowa at the 5 Seasons Center. Those 4 matches going to see Dino Bravo with manager Frenchie Martin by his side. Bravo scoring a win over Sam Houston with the side suplex. Frenchie Martin running a distraction. Bravo scoring a win in 5 minutes and 33 seconds. Also, the Hart Foundation together again, scoring a win over the Conquistadors. Following the Heart Attack, match goes 6 minutes and 23 seconds. Then from there, it's the Hammer Greg Valentine over Ken Patera, once again by disqualification, courtesy of another outside interference from Don Muraco. In fact, and they did this a lot on Primetime. I hated when they did this, but remember it was just last week we saw the Hammer versus Tito. Hammer trying to put Tito out with that shin guard figure 4. Muraco making the save. Lather, rinse, repeat this week. Valentine looking to put Patera on the shelf with the shin guard figure 4. Muraco again interfering to save the baby face here. And Valentine getting another DQ win due to outside interference. This one goes 7 minutes and 40 seconds. And then the most interesting one of the week, Tito Santana one-on-one with the Butcher and sometimes Headbanger, Jos LeDuc. And what will be LeDuc's final appearance here in the WWF? Santana going to score the win in 9 minutes after the flying forearm. So LeDuc putting Tito Santana over. And I do believe this being taped on July 14th. LeDuc's last match, maybe the 15th. So he saw the writing on the wall. Jos LeDuc already gone from the company by the time this airs. And Tito Santana picking up a big victory here on Primetime Wrestling this week as we wrap up this edition of The Grenade. We'll be back next week. Remember the way the calendar falls in July of 1988. There's actually 5 weeks of WWF TV, and we've covered 4 of them, leaving just 1. And we're going to cover that week next week here on The Grenade. So another week of July TV coming, including the Macho Man Randy Savage announcing his partner for the big upcoming match against Dibiase and Andre. But also, at the back end of that program, we're also going to be discussing WrestleFest 1988. Going to look at the WrestleFest results, 15 matches. Big stadium card taking place in Milwaukee. Randy Savage defending the WWF title against the $1 Million Man, Ted Dibiase. Tag Team Champions Demolition versus the British Bulldogs. Our first look at both Kurt Hennig and Terry Taylor when they take each other on one-on-one. Intercontinental Champion Honky Tonk Man slated to defend that championship against Hacksaw Jim Duggan. There's an interesting match, but there's just so many great matches on the card, including the main event, as we see the return of Hulk Hogan as he battles Andre the Giant inside a 15-foot-high steel cage. Again, we'll be discussing that next week as part of Grenade number 138. But I also want to encourage everyone, for anybody wanting to watch the entire show, bell to bell, all 15 matches, not the chopped up 2-hour Coliseum version, but the entire event. If you want to check out all of those matches and enjoy some commentary from myself and WrestleCopia's own Gene Jackson, now is the time to sign up for the VIP Superfan account over at patreon.com/WrestleCopia. Now, of course, there's also that $5 all access tier. Get you all of the goodies you guys know all about, but also the VIP Superfan tier going to make you part of all of the great video casts upcoming, including all of the Puroresu, the Japanese wrestling video cast planned with Dan Ginnity, WrestleFest coming next week as well, and SummerSlam 88 right around the corner. Sign up now as spots are limited. That's the VIP Superfan account over at patreon.com/WrestleCopia. And don't forget, guys, to head over to WrestleCopia.com to check out all the great podcasts, everything going on over there, from regional wrestling to Dangerous Conversations with Doug Gilbert, from Dave Dynasty's Wrestling Nostalgia to the crew of the Other Ship, Bob Roop and the Wrestling Stoop, to the brand new Captain's Corner podcast with the captain himself, Nick Massey. All of that and so much more. Go check it out, WrestleCopia.com. And be sure to follow me on social media, guys. So much going on. You can check it out there. Lots of great videos, lots of great pictures, and all the latest news is part of the brand. You can check all of that out. Follow me on X at Wrestling Grenade. That's at RASSLIN Grenade. Also, follow and like me, Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. And of course, you can subscribe to YouTube.com/Wrestling Grenade. So you guys can keep up with us there and enjoy all the great videos and things that we post. But for this week, guys, time to wrap things up as I'm heading into my birthday weekend. Going to celebrate my birthday this Saturday, August 24th. Used to be able to say that I share my birthday with Vince McMahon, but now, not so cool to say that. Even still, I'm turning another year older. Going to try to enjoy the day. Hope you guys enjoy this upcoming weekend as well. And hope you guys enjoyed this edition of The Grenade, as we're going to be back continuing our path through the summer of 1988. So until then, this is Ray Russell saying, from pillar to post and coast to coast, you pull the pin and I'll pick up the pieces right here on the Wrestling Memory Grenade. I'll see you next week. Don't miss it. Peace. there!
And that guest referee is none other than Jesse the Body Ventura.
What? Jesse! Jesse Ventura, you of all people